Before this video starts, this is a spoiler review. I know that I usually put it in the title and almost everybody listens because I don't get any complaints about spoilers, but I also need to preface, this is an adult anime. There are a lot more nude scenes than I thought there would be in this show. Okay? So, just to preface. So this isn't the usual run-of-the-mill, I break down every little thing about the episode. This is more a summary of the entire show. Mainly because, first off, it was pretty short. Second, there's going to be no second season, which it's sad to me because I was invested, but it makes sense. And third, because I finished it all in one sitting, and I could hardly remember what happens in one episode of The Walking Dead. You think I'm gonna remember an entire show? Hell no. So the show follows a character named David. I actually remember the names this time, guys. Yay! It's totally not because I had to look up a million things because I was curious. And they never tell you outright, but anyway. I stayed up all night watching the show, so I'm sorry, but the show follows a kid named David who was always rejected by society because I can't remember why. Because everybody else had cybernetic powers, so it's not like he was any different in that sense. But he grew up poor, and then he got bullied at school. Yeah, he got bullied at school, and then he like pulled a stunt, and it glitched out the entire school system. To where David's mom had to pick him up from school. During the ride home, David's mom unfortunately dies, and then David picks up a military grade like spinal chip. If you know Cyberpunk, you know. I had to look up if this was canon. Apparently it is. I also had to look up if I have to play the game before I watch this. You do not have to watch the anime or play the game to understand the respective story. I had to look that up. Though some parts might make more sense if you play the game, but that's more of like the deep dive into certain parts. You can kind of piece together what certain things are. But anyway, he gets a spinal chip that was inside of his mom's jacket, which I thought that it was gonna loop back to like the mom being something more than she let on, but no. And because he has the chip, there's this group of people. He meets a girl named Lucy on a train ride because she's like super cool and like takes people's chips to get free bus fare. And David catches her because of his chip. He has like super speed. So then him and Lucy go on a date, and all of that. And then, because they're in like this simulation thing, kind of like a little mini date to the moon, because Lucy's number one dream is the moon. But he gets tricked by Lucy and basically gets kidnapped by these people named I'm trying to remember the names. Maine. So there's Maine, there's Dorito, or Diado. I always read her name as Dorito. Lucy. Lucy betrayed him. Kiwi, one of the best characters. Not Kiwi's not one of the best characters, and you're gonna know why in a little bit. One of the best characters, Rebecca. Fuck, dude, Rebecca's my favorite character. I'm sorry. I forgot Rebecca's brother's name. And then the mustache guy. Sorry. And they're all funded by Faraday. I almost forgot his name. And I immediately knew that it was played by the same guy that plays he's played by the same guy that plays what's his face in Breaking Bad? Godfrey or something. Oh, but anyway. They're funded by Godfrey. Hell breaks loose. I don't remember some parts. So yeah, we're just gonna skip past all of the like side plots with the characters. Not saying that this show's a waste of time, not at all. I'm just saying for a summary video, I'm not going to mention the parts, but it's a fun show. Maine and Dorito die. Because Dorito loses his shit. Because there's a thing called cybercotic, where if you have too much chrome, then you're gonna go cybersonic. I think I'm getting that right, but anyway, Maine goes cybercotic because he put too much stuff in him, and then we jump cut, or we jump forward, is it called? When one episode is a certain time and then another. What's that called? Not a jump cut. A jump cut is in the middle of an episode. A jump forward, something like that. And David is buff as fuck, and he's doing his own missions with the group, but Lucy is absent because Lucy could not deal with Maine and Dorito's death. So she took a break from doing stuff like that. And that's ultimately where stuff starts to go downhill, because then he starts listening to Faraday more, and he gets led on by Faraday. And there's like this truck, and David is meant to be going inside of the truck. That happens. It turns out that this was all a trick by Faraday to basically create the perfect cyberhuman and to take over the world. But he just wants control, and he captures Lucy. David, finding this out, decides, oh, you messed with the wrong person. I'm going to kill all your people and then go after you. Kiwi betrays them. Kiwi is the person that led David and them to this truck thing. yeah. But Faraday betrays her. Surprise, surprise. But yeah. So then David is like going after Faraday. They're at the top of Aztec Tower. Is it Aztec Tower? It was something with an A. But he goes crazy, kills everybody in there. He takes Lucy. There's a character named Adam Smasher, which if you've played Cyberpunk 2077, you know who that is. I didn't know there was this much lore. I thought Cyberpunk was just GTA, but for the future, and there wasn't any mech suits, but apparently there's mech people now. But I usually gotta watch people play 2077. But Adam Smasher comes in to kill David. And is almost successful. But then David is fighting back, takes Lucy. They're basically falling from the top of the tower. They have a really sweet moment. I fucking teared up, dude. When I tell you I teared up, I teared up. Because I was like, damn, bro. But then they land. And David is caring more about Lucy. He puts all of his money and savings in the truck with the guy with the mustache and Lucy. They drive off. Unfortunately, Adam Smasher kills Rebecca. My jaw hung open at the scene. I was like, no, I was hoping he would survive at least, but no. But then Adam Smasher is like about to kill, or is like ripping David apart. Adam is like, who do you think you are, thinking you could step up to me? And then David, in his snarky tone, I don't remember what he said, but like in his final moments, he was like still being snarky. And Adam kills David. I think this is the first anime where I saw the overpowered protagonist die. So then we jump forward in time to Lucy on top of in a spacecraft. She finally goes to the moon with the money that David saved up, and I thought it was a really, really sweet conclusion. I really, really liked that conclusion, that they didn't leave us with heartbreak. We were still able to end on a good note, even though David died. What do I rate this anime? I'm not gonna say it's one of my favorite animes. It was fucking amazing though, but it's not one of my top favorites because though it was an amazing anime, it was so short. It was short, and there's not multiple seasons, so it's like you can't really get attached to the characters unless, of course, you like watch them in bursts, unlike me, where it was basically just one long movie, which I don't mind actually. I still got attached to the characters, don't get me wrong. It's just I feel like for most people they would need 2 seasons to get attached to characters, but I understand. Me personally, I loved every character. Every character was amazing except for Kiwi. Kiwi, you effed hard. I also hated Faraday, but he's a hateable character. He's meant to be hated, so he doesn't count. How I would rate this anime? Honestly, okay, in terms of action scenes, 9 out of 10. Yeah, action scenes, 9 out of 10. I'd even say 10 out of 10. Storyline, 10 out of 10. The voice acting was a little bit weird. Like, everything else was fine. But, like, whenever they were, like, calling each other with the Nero calling thing, there was always, like, weird parts where they repeated words that didn't need to be repeated. Which I guess is more realistic, but it's literally a show about the future of humanity being mech suits. Come on. But anyway. And then also, some of Faraday's voice lines, especially in the last episode, were definitely rushed. I feel like Godfrey was just too quick with the lines, like, and also he sounded more like a Joker than a sophisticated villain. Like, he was more eccentric. If he was like more eccentric, which is fine, because like I don't want people to typecast Godfrey, but also it just, the entire show, Faraday was like a stoic character, and then whenever he's like, he captures Lucy and David's like listening to him, or David finds out that he betrayed David. He's like super eccentric. He's like, if you could find me, and stuff like that. I was like, that's a weird character shift. I mean, if they established that when he's winning, he gets eccentric, but then he goes back to stoicness at the top of the tower, and it's like weird. So voice acting honestly is an 8 out of 10. Not horrible. I like the voice acting. I also did appreciate some of the nudity scenes. I'm gonna admit it. A lot of the nude scenes were tasteful. I was surprised there was a lot less sex. Like, whenever I got the sex and violence warning at the top of my screen, I was like, oh buddy, we're in for one of those animes. Apparently not. There's only one sex scene that you can really pinpoint. 2, actually, and they're only in episode 1 and 2. And that's like a simulation. There wasn't as much sex. Nudity, a lot of. Because whenever Lucy or Kiwi has to neurologically connect to somebody, I guess, is it called reading? Whenever they have to read somebody, they have to be in an ice bath and they have to be naked. So, you know, they don't utilize the sex scenes a lot. They don't utilize nudity a lot. I like that the nudity is tasteful, but also isn't just put in there to make you horny. Like, I like that there's an actual reason for the nudity. Yeah. It's also not as perverted as I was expecting, again, because of the nudity. But it almost went into, like, harem territory. Except Kiwi wasn't attracted to David. Neither was Dorito. Yeah, it's not really a harem. It's just two characters like David. Now, it's never confirmed whether or not Rebecca likes David, but it's pretty obvious she liked David. Yeah, so that was my review and I guess breakdown of Cyberpunk Edgerunners. I hope they make more animes, because I want to see more animes in this genre. Because I've never been a big fan of the futuristic style of things. but I'll make an exception for this anime. So, that is it for this episode. Make sure to like, share, subscribe, turn on notifications, and yeah, see you guys in the next review.